Hello, and thank you for coming. It's nice to be here at the Jerusalem Fund again, and I want to thank everybody. Thank the Jerusalem Fund for having me. It seems like every 5 years I come here and update the status of the Palestine Poster Project. It used to just be a curriculum. Now it's a genre. I also have to thank Kathy Baker, my editor, and probably the chief person on my board of directors, except for Rochelle Davis in the back there. Two people without whose help and support I couldn't have done this project. And so I want to jump in by just telling a brief story. I went to Palestine as a Park Fellow last year. I spent the entire month of June in Palestine, traveling around to universities, cultural centers, museums, and ministries, and giving more or less this presentation. And in most places, probably as will happen today, my lecture just went out the window because the people there had really strong interests and really strong opinions, and it became a much more interesting lecture than the one I had planned. But in about 17 different places where I presented, it was 17 completely different experiences because people brought different things with them. Posters had different meanings. They wanted to see different posters. Big arguments about normalization, and but one of the most interesting things was that most Palestinians didn't know that this website existed. So it was exciting to be there and to introduce them to that. I'd like to mention a couple of things that are, and so without going into a lot of verbiage, the thing that's different, or that I discovered in the process of doing my thesis and studying at Georgetown, was that if you take all the posters that were printed on the subject of Palestine, whether they were called Holy Land or Promised Land or Ter Sante or Eretz Israel or State of Palestine, it's all the same place. It's all talking about Palestine. So if you take all these posters, come from all these different, have been mislabeled, in my opinion, by all these libraries and archives and collections for decades, and give them a single name, Palestine, put them all in one place, they're all talking about the same place. Some really interesting things happen, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. And if you have questions, I hope you'll chime in and ask them during the presentation or stick around afterwards and give me a shot at answering them. I'd like to tell you a couple of things that are unique about the Palestine poster. It's the only political poster genre from the 20th century to transition to the 21st. It's the only political poster genre from the 20th or the 21st century to transition to the internet. It's the only political poster genre in history, I think, that's actually growing every day. This thing gets bigger every day. I can't keep up with all the posters that are coming in. The number of artists, the nationalities of artists, the caliber of artists is phenomenal, and we'll look at some of that work. It's also the only political poster genre, I think, I'd like to be challenged on that, I think, that may successfully be entirely reconstructed thanks to the internet and to people like Karen Buckley Camp, who was sitting in the audience here, who donated posters, who, traveling in Syria during the 80s, she collected some posters and she donated them to the site. We'll look at them in a little while. So people all over the world have recognized that when they were looking at a Palestine poster, maybe in Bolivia in the 1950s or in China or someplace, they collected the poster, they got a copy, they saved it, or they took a picture of it. And little by little, those people are sending them in to me, and we're able to rebuild exhibits, rebuild oeuvres, rebuild contests, all kinds of things that we thought were lost, or we didn't even know about, more likely. I mean, how would you know about a poster contest being done, in a small town in central France in solidarity with Palestine? You would never know about it unless you were there. Well, the internet came along and changed all of that. So I'd like to look at a couple of, I'd like to go and just go to a couple of I'm going to go to expressions. This site is not really set up for a presentation like this. It's set up for you folks to at home to be able to go through it at your leisure. Expressions. I'm going to show you this collection, this special collection, if I can get to it. That is Expressionzionists. No. Well, let me go to this one, and maybe I can backtrack. So here's a way of comparing. What I did is and I have to be able to find that one. This is a Zionist expressions of solidarity with other countries, revolutions, liberation movements. And there's, I think, 22 posters in this collection. They're all from one political party inside of Israel, and they all have to do with saluting the Soviet Union. Solidarity, let's try that. I hope I can get this.
Do you want me to be your...
Oh, I would love it if you would be my, what do you call it? Yeah.
You stand on the
Okay. She's still bailing me out. I'm looking for the expressions of solidarity. Anyway, when Rochelle finds it. So what I was able to do was take all the posters published by Zionist publishers, and I'll come back to in a little while why there are Zionist posters here.
Is it a special collection?
Yeah, it's a special collection. Yeah, it's a special collection. And this site is growing and changing every day. So I was able to find 22 posters from the Zionist genre in solidarity with other countries. And almost all of them are with the Soviet Union, and almost all of them come from the Israeli Communist Party, but at the time that it was founded, it was called the Palestine the Palestine Communist Party. So when Rochelle finds it, there's like over 125 posters in the Palestinian special collection of solidarity with other countries. And they're from African countries, Latin American countries, revolutionary groups, political splinter groups, everybody you could imagine. It's a much richer. And so you say, why is that important? Well, because for me, it shows the global nature of solidarity with Palestine and the sort of anemic or non-existent solidarity between the world community and Israel or Zionism. So that's one of the things that bubbled up in this, in organizing, taking these thousands of posters and being able to translate them. All the Hebrew posters, by the way, I think are translated and presented online here. There's 3,000 something Zionist published Palestine posters at this site, which makes it the largest collection, online collection anywhere, larger than the Central Zionist Archives in Jerusalem, and translated for the first time. So Americans are actually able to look at the posters of early Zionism and contemporary Zionism, have the Hebrew translated and the poster contextualized for them, and basically introduce the street. And what I think this site does best is it introduces the Palestinian and the Israeli street to the American classroom, and introduces a whole new set of memes. Because what a poster does, if a poster is doing its job, if it's, you know what, Rochelle, we'll go to something else. Oh, you got it. Okay. Oh, okay. So there's over 600. This went from one special collection, and like a year later, there's almost 700 special collections at the site now. So if you're interested in a particular artist, or if you want to go to a particular exhibit, or if you're interested in a subject, or a publisher, or where a library, or a museum, or an archives where it's held, it's all broken down now. Yeah, just click up. No, that's not it. No, you didn't get it yet. Similar international. Oh, actually, that should be one of them. So this is another one. This is the John Percy collection. There's a guy in Australia who was collecting Palestine posters over the years, and now we have Good Try. That's not it yet. So now we have a guy in Australia who collected posters and sent me the JPEGs, and we were able to put in all of his posters at the site and with the appropriate links. So many people. I don't have all of the posters you're going to see today. I have thousands. And more coming in all the time. But many places like Georgetown University, the Library of Congress, the Museum of Design, Switzerland, and other places, they have their own collections. What I do is I take the JPEGs from those collections, I create a special collection here so that you can see all the Palestine posters in all these different museums without going to 20 or 30 different websites. They're all in here. And then when I have the JPEGs, I'm able to catalog them. So yeah, let me go back to this, and let me go back to the home page. So,
Why don't you just tell me what you want?
Oh, all right, okay. I'm not used to having somebody help me like that. Are there any questions at this point? So one of the really exciting things that's happened. Go to the student projects, student thesis and project. One of the really exciting things that's happened is that students and teachers in the United States and elsewhere have started to use the site in classrooms. And that really was the basis of my thesis, was to try to see if I had two questions for my thesis. Does the Palestine poster, is it its own genre? basically I wanted to do two things. I wanted to see if I could teach the idea that the Palestinian Zionist conflict did not begin in 1948. Okay, I was looking at authentic starting points. And then the second thing was I wanted to know if are we there?
I don't know where it is.
Just go under student, just type in student in the box and you should get the thing. And then whether or not the posters had any pedagogical value. That's what I wanted to find out. Were these all propaganda? Were these racist? Were these angry? Were these like things that really didn't have any value? Or for us today, these posters 30, 40 years old? Or were they something that can be used? And so the happy news is that, so here's just an example. Rochelle, how many posters are in that collection? 249. So, and I probably have another 100 that I haven't put up. And these are from student projects as early as 1929 being done in historic Palestine during the mandate. Okay, Rochelle, can we scroll down to the bottom there? Up to posters being done today. Now in Israel, I didn't know this until I started to do this, but since 1948, it's been a tradition in Israel for artists and art students to do a poster about Israel on Independence Day for a class project or something like that. And Rochelle, if you could just click on one of these, like right here, 56 by 56. This is a whole series of 57 by 57. This is 56 by 56. Could you click right there? No, up the special collection. Yeah. Here's a catalog. Every year, Shenkar University does a big exhibit and contest, and students and famous artists from Israel, they do posters on Israel, on the issue of Israel. It used to be about Israeli independence. But these are so radical. They're so outspoken. They're so anti-Zionist. These are like really, really outspoken posters talking about racism in Israel and the problems of the country. They're very honest and outspoken. It took me years to get my hands on the catalogs. Nobody would share them with me because they actually change the dialogue. They change the meme. They have the ability to change memes. Because if Israelis are calling the state anti-Zionist, or if they're calling the occupation unjust, or they're calling Sharon a racist or whatever, then why can't other people do that? And so these posters actually feed right into the discourse. And there are hundreds of them. And some of them, actually a couple of them I didn't put up. They're so radical. They border on anti-Semitic. So this is what's happening with students. Students do a lot of Palestine posters, and a lot of the students actually send me in their works. And as we get these catalogs, we put them up there because they're part of the record. Can you go back to that special collection? So I want to show you what some of the, let's scroll up a little bit and just show, or maybe it's 2004 down. I just want to show what some of the students are doing. Down a little bit more. Come out of that. Keep going. Scroll up for me now. All right. This is 56. Oh, sorry. Go to student. Go to the student. We're all the 249. And we'll show you how some of the students in colleges and high schools around the country are used now. That would go 2005. Let's go down a little bit. All right. We're still. Oh, okay. I'm looking for the. Go ahead. Scroll down. No, I want to go to the one where the students use the wall in the Colorado State. So students are going to the website. There's a lot of remixing happening. Students go and they grab a poster that was done 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago for a completely different issue. We're not finding that now, are we? Let's go here. Let's do this. This is a fun one. Let's click on that. Okay, George wanted me to touch on it. And let's go to Remix, Vote, Visit Palestine. Like, here's an example. This does a lot of things for us. This is the original. Where's the original poster? Scroll down. The original is right here. Whoa, right here. This is the original. Click on that for us. This is the original poster done in 1936 by the Jewish Tourism Office of the Tourism Office of the Jewish Agency for Palestine. This is the single most popular and famous poster among Palestinians. Palestinians love this poster. I counted 5 so far, illegal, underground, sort of clandestine reprintings of this Zionist poster. So the reason why it's interesting to Palestinians is because published by Zionists during the mandate by really famous artists, probably the most famous Zionist poster artist, Franz Krauss, for the Jewish Tourism Agency, and says visit Palestine. So for Palestinian, this really resonates because it decapitates a whole bunch of myths that there was no Palestine, that there was nothing there, it was an empty country, there were no people, everything was the desert. So Palestinians revel in this poster, and they reprint it all over the place. In fact, David Tartakova, who, just scroll down and click on open the browser again. Just go down here. No. Just click on that. Click on that. And then go to, no. Just go, just P. Just P, just at the letter P. So what happened is, in 1995, David Tartakova, who's the dean of Israeli poster art, he's on the board of the PPPA, and he's a good friend of mine. Can we go back to that? Yeah. Right here, top. Yeah, there we go. So he reprinted this. Franz Krauss was still alive. If you could scroll down and just hold it right there. He reprinted like 200 copies of the exact poster, exactly the same. It's very hard to tell the original from the reprint, thinking that it would be a nice gesture because Camp David was coming along and everybody was talking about peace, and he wanted to honor Franz Krauss. And then one day he lives in Jaffa, and one day he started to get emails and orders and all these checks coming in from the West Bank and the occupied territories for 1,000 copies or 2,000 copies. And he couldn't understand why was somebody in Ramallah buying 1,000 copies? Why did somebody in Jerusalem want 3,000 copies? They weren't Israelis buying them, they were Palestinians. And you can go into just about any home in the West Bank and find this poster. So it's like, the graphics is important, but the irony is the real story. And if you would click on that special collection, let's just show people what people have been doing with this poster. Let's go to, let's get to Amr's one, right here. Here's by Amr Shomali, my colleague and friend. He took the poster and ran the wall through it. It's also really popular, and it's online. And we have sightings. We have a category called sightings, where people are traveling in countries and they see a poster and they take their phone. And this is already up in Canada. I've got Canada and Chile and a couple of other countries where this has been printed out by a person locally in Argentina or wherever and posted on a wall in the street in their city. So I should say this, that the internet, digital printing, and the cell phone changed everything. This category of resource. Can we go back to the main page? Right there. Just scroll and let them look at. Let's see all the things that people have done with this. It's a festival. This is in Arabic. This is a really great one. Show them that one. Show them this one here. I want a copy of that one. This is for an art exhibit in Ein Helway, and they kept the caption, they kept the tree, and they put a junk car under it. And let's go back to that special collection. And so. So what happened is libraries, all University Library of Congress, they call this graphic ephemera. Posters are called graphic ephemera. That's the technical rubric that they give it, because it's the stuff that disappears. It could be that you print 1,000 posters in the morning on Monday, then Friday there's no more copies left anywhere. Nobody has a single copy. But if somebody saved a single copy from whenever back in the day and they send it to me, they send me a JPEG or they send me a shot, it's actually no longer ephemeral. Because it's like, it's digital, but people can see it and benefit from it. And so somebody made wallpaper out of it. Here's one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I copied 5. Oh, and it even made it onto television. The poster even made. Would you scroll on and click on Palestinian chicken? Everybody here know the Palestinian chicken from the Curb Your Enthusiasm program? So it's even made it on television. So it was a Zionist poster that basically the Palestinians said, we own this, and they took it. And it was confusing to Zionists for a long time. Now they get it. So the thing is, things you say about things that Zionists said in their posters in the 10s and 20s and 30s have come back. They have an ironic cycle. Question?
Yeah, can we get copies of these things?
If you go to Jerusalem, you can. You have a copy. You gave them the...
I know. More copies.
More copies, yeah.
Wall or
You mean can you get can you get other copies of other posters from this site?
No, the one that has the wall. I like the
Oh, then we'll get you one. We'll take care. We'll put you in touch with the artist. So okay, so I wanted to talk about so we're talking about that. Okay, so you're gonna go home. Yeah. Are there any questions? Yes.
Can you get posters on the website?
You're not on my website, but if you read the FAQ up there, there are some places, eBay, and there's some sites you can go. You can't buy all these, but most of these posters, you're looking at the only copy that exists. And in many cases, when you're looking at a particular poster, I only have a JPEG. There's no copy, or it's in a museum somewhere. So I would say we're up to 8,670, and I think that by a year from New Year's, a year from this coming January 1st, we'll break 10,000. But that's only because I'm working alone and I'm doing it by myself. I have probably 3,000 posters in my computer ready to be photoshopped and translated and blah, blah, blah and put up. But I can only do, on a good day I can do 5. On a good day I can do 5 posters. But that means translating and finding the artist and the links and all of that stuff. So sometimes when you're doing an exhibit and they're all like if you can create a template and you can do like 20 in a day because a lot of the links and stuff say the same. So, did that answer your question? Okay. Any more questions?
When you talk about the student projects, do you know the breakdown? Are they all secondary? Are they all university?
All high school and university, mostly university. But there were a couple of, and I have to get better at this, and I'll try to do it later. There are a couple of high school programs that were. Was Kimberly Katz's a high school or university? So I would say mostly university level. But teaching, that's on the art poster level. But teaching, using the curriculum and using the posters in class is happening a lot in high school level. So, sure.
Could you sign up for the intern program? We get some help, free help.
She's in charge of all my interns.
I send him a few people, but it still takes a while.
It's very technical. The dashboard for this website is called Drupal. And it's easy for you to use it because of the work that goes on behind. So it's not like you can get an intern, just any intern. You need somebody with specialized help. Not me. I mean, I have to have a consultant help me maintain the architecture of the site and actually upload a page and do things like that. You have to speak Arabic and you have to know Drupal and interns can help me do some stuff, but they can't help me build the site. Not yet. Does that surprise you?
That's surprising.
Oh, okay. Yes?
The pedagogical use of the poster is being accomplished in the U.S.?
I would say, most of the people who we can go up here later and look at the Google stats. Most of the people who use the site are in the United States. Israel's the number 2 country. And except for Israel, and a couple of things happening now in Palestine. Most of the teachers and the requests for curriculum and requests for explanations come from American teachers. Yes. And if you go to, if you can go back and find that student /thesis website, we'll show what Hannah Mermelstein did with her class. Right there. Yeah. So I'm just going to show you an example. Not every teacher who writes to me, if you scroll down slowly, you'll see a little booklet with Handala on the cover. That's what I'll be closer to the bottom. Not every teacher who writes to me, right there you go. So here's a teacher up in New York who took, let me see, we have this also. There's another one to this, which is the page open, so we can show them. I think if you go back to the special collection, it'll be right next to it. This is a teacher who used the posters. Yeah, right there. She used the posters in her class, and the students did a project. And they had to go to the site, and they had to write a paper, and they had to make some analysis, and using the posters. And then at the end, she hadn't thought to put it together, and she just said, "Dan, we had a great class." And I said, "Well, what did they do?" "Well, they did projects." I said, "Well, where are the projects?" So she put together that booklet for me, and we scanned it. We didn't put the students' last names because the parents were concerned about that. So we respected everybody's interests and concerns. But here's an example, a concrete empirical example of a teacher using the site in a classroom to teach the history of Palestine. It's one of a number that up there. Not every teacher who writes to me sends me at the end any resources or any reports or anything that I can put up online. I wish they did, but not everyone does. So the site's only been up like a year and a half officially, and we already have, I would say, 12 teachers that are sending in stuff using it. Is that more or less than you expected?
Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable. Thank you so much.
Was there another question back there? Yes?
Do you have your own criteria as to what constitutes a poster, or is it a, I'll know it if I see it?
Let's take them to the FAQ. Let's go to the FAQ. Oh, good. It's an excellent question. It's an excellent question. And what you can do, scroll down to, oh no, sorry, it's in about. It's in about. It's in about, yeah. If you go, this is a sort of now, this is my definition of what constitutes a Palestine poster. Okay, now it's completely arbitrary, but when you're doing a thesis, you get to do that. If your thesis advisor says it's okay, you get to do that. So that's right. So I crafted a five level definition of what constitutes a Palestine poster, and this is what I came up with. Can you go to names? Just type in names in the box. Yeah.
Just names?
Yeah, that's it. No, that's right. Names of Palestine. Yeah, just click search. Search. Names of Palestine. Yep, click it. So here's a special collection that I put together just to show how many different names Palestine comes under and what posters. Here's the Levant, the Hebrew State, the land of the Bible, Medinat Israel, Palestine Modern, the land of olive oil and honey, Zion. Scroll down a little bit. The land of Israel, the Holy Land, Homeland Denied, Jewish State. It's like all these different names for the same place. So this sort of to me helps to anchor and justify that new definition that says anything that relates to historical Palestine, no matter what it's called, is going to be considered a Palestine poster. Could you go to did you find that one, Expressions of Solidarity? No, you didn't find that. Okay.
Palestinian artist?
Well, let's look at some of the new stuff. Why don't you type in Omar Hafez? So now let's talk a little bit about what's happening about digitally and where the digital action is. Like, this is the website of Hafez Omar, a great guy and a friend of mine. And somebody in the audience was asking me about the Hafez Omar.
His first name is
Hafez.
Motomo.
We'll talk about that later. Okay, but that's what he calls it. Okay, so who was it was talking to me about the apricot festival? Walking in here. Oh, right there. Yeah. Okay. So here's a little poster from Jifna. And one of the things I said in my thesis was that what happened with the internet, one of the things that it changed dramatically was prior to the internet, if you wanted a Palestine poster or a Palestinian poster, you had to either go someplace or you had to be someplace where they were happening in order to see them. And generally the publishers were large: Fatah, PFLP, DFLP, the PLO, United Nations, the government of Israel, big institutions, because it costs a lot of money to print a full-color poster back in the day, because you had to print a lot of copies in order to get the unit price down. So you couldn't print 100, you had to print 1,000 or 10,000, or in some cases 100,000. Now, with digitization and desktop publishing and local printing, you can print one copy of a poster if that's what you want to do. And so, because printing posters has become much more decentralized, it's become easier, it's become cheaper, little tiny festivals like this town in the West Bank, Jifna, can have an artist do a poster for them, and they can have posters around the town to promote their event, and they can make it onto this website. So I didn't even know that Jifna had an apricot festival until I saw the poster. So it's a way. So what the internet has done is it's made it possible for many more people to play the poster game. Can we go back to that special collection?
I must tell you something here.
Tell me.
I went to boarding school at Piazza.
Yeah.
We used to go down to Jifna.
And steal the apricots. Yeah. So here's an example of an artist who basically uses his computer and his design skills. And I ran into a young girl at a like a 17-year-old girl at a summer camp where I gave a presentation in Palestine last year in El Farah. I think I'm saying that right. El Farah, okay, where the prison is. And this girl came up to me and introduced herself, and we started talking. We started talking about Hafez, and she said, "I think he does a poster every day for breakfast and another one for lunch." And so here's a guy who turns out posters almost every day for a whole range of institutions and on a wide variety of subjects. So people get and you go to his site. You know, he has a Facebook site. Isn't that funny? His site's not listed there, but he's got a Facebook, and you can go there and you can download the file for this poster. Or can we go back to his special collection? You can go to his website. You know, he does a lot on the prisoners. This is really famous. A lot of people should know this. And if you walk in Ramallah, you'll see his posters all over the place.
What is that supposed to be?
That's the Israeli prison. That's the Israeli prison. This poster has become the logo for Palestine prisoner solidarity, and millions of people, he knows the number, have put this. I don't know where you put this. Do you put this on your Twitter, or on your Viewbook, or Facebook? You put this on and so this gets put everywhere. You see this all over the internet. And he showed me his site, and it had some millions of people around the world using that icon in solidarity with Palestinian prisoners. Back to his special collection. So you can go to his website, and not just him, but a lot of them, you can go there and you can download the file for these different posters, send it to your local Kinko's or whatever, and walk in a little bit later and pick up the poster, you know, fully printed out. You can get it laminated, framed, or whatever. So the digitization, click on this for me. This is another one that I wanted to, this is another really important. Click on this one right here. No, Palestinian expressions. So here's an example not only of countries, a couple of hundred countries doing solidarity posters with Palestine, but here's the way it goes out. This is the one I was looking for before. Here's a DPFLP poster in solidarity with the international proletariat, with Lebanon, with Vietnam, Palestine, Rhodesia, I forget, whoops, I'm losing you there. Egypt, Nasser, Cuba, Nicaragua, Vietnam, Greece, talking about Camp Murphy and Kfar Shuba, Lebanon, Che Guevara. The themes that Palestinians do, the Palestinians do solidarity posters with just about every revolutionary liberation group you could think of. Also on a lot of issues, women's issues, family care, child abuse, alcoholism. Palestinian artists cover the whole range. They don't just do revolutionary posters. They don't just do posters about political struggle or posters about Zionism. Everything that you want to, I would think, I'm going to make a generalization here. It's probably safe to say that on any issue you might be interested in studying relative to Palestine, foodways, music, dance, theater, embroidery, literature, poetry, the whole there's a poster for it, or a whole bunch of posters for it. And there might even be an artist who specializes. Here, Oman, solidarity with the revolution in Oman. I didn't even know there was one there. Another one against the Qaboos regime, a solidarity against victory for the Turkish masses against the Turkish military. The Palestinians had early expressions against apartheid. Going back, I mean, there are other posters older than this where Palestinians early on recognized that apartheid was racism and stood with the South Africans.
Can you use this one to talk about that this is done by an artist, and so how, because you have a really nice section in your thesis about how fine art artists become part of the poster.
Okay, sure. I don't know if folks can see this. Why don't you go to Abdulhay Musallam's special collection. Here's an artist who is actually a sculptor, and he does mostly high and low relief works like this and this here and that one over there. This one, there's one of them that I actually saw in Nicaragua, which was the most interesting mural I'd ever seen. It was a flat wall but it actually came out. The figures came out. Like they were very, very dimensional. It was a mural. Most of it was a mural, but at street level, some of the fighters and stuff came out, and you could like touch them. It's very interesting. So here's an example of how a sculptor's work is translated into a poster. You can also have photography translated into posters, design work, illustration, painting. Just about any medium can be, except music, I imagine, can be translated into a poster. It's called posterizing. And this is where I come in. I wouldn't be interested in this original work. I mean, I'd be interested in it, but it wouldn't find its way to this website if it were. Could we go back to his special collection? I might actually put one or two in just to show people what his work looks like in its original context. I don't have one of those. But normally, it's only after they've been posterized, which generally means it's been formatted for public display and printed in large numbers for free distribution. Yes?
Can you say something about how posters are currently being used in the occupied territory?
Wow, how to be, okay, let's go to sightings. Thank you. We're going to show you sightings. We're going to show you how the artists are putting them up in the streets and what they're doing with them. And by the way, Rochelle started this special collection right here. She sent in the first sighting. That might not work, but try it. Yeah, sightings, that'll work. So here's a collection of 546 posters, okay, of shots that people have taken while they're walking on the street somewhere in some city, and they see a demonstration or they see a poster, or this is really, there's so many. Which one did you want to show? Oh, right, let's scroll up and show, we want to go to Ramallah. No, just scroll up, just scroll, oops. Oh, all right. So here's, let's scroll down. Let's see, I want to try to get you one for Ramallah, let's go, scroll. Oh, you know what, scroll all the way down to the last one. Let's show the Obama one. We're going to show you the most recent. No, it's the last one. Yeah, I know, but that's not the one I want to show you. Scroll. I want to show you how. Scroll to the last page on the last poster. Yeah, last page, last poster. Last. Yeah. Okay. And then the bottom of that. Scroll up a little bit. So.
They go in different order.
Yeah, scroll. Here, right here, this one right here, scrolling out. So here's an example of how outspoken things are in Ramallah. Here's the poster that a Palestinian artist did, Mahir Alauni, who sent it to me. I didn't know he had done it. He sent me the JPEG. There's a poster that he published and printed all around Ramallah for when Obama visited like a couple of months ago. And his big complaint was he doesn't have 3G. So this is an example of how, this is one guy who feels like speaking out on an issue to the President of the United States. And in Ramallah, you don't get arrested for putting up posters. Okay, it doesn't happen. They say, sometimes I would come out of my hotel there, and a couple of times I saw kids putting up posters like at night. One kid would be holding posters, and he had a bucket of wheat paste, and the other kid was grabbing posters and putting them up. And I say, hey, kid, give me some of those. They were happy to give them because then they didn't have to put them up. So anybody puts up posters. There's real freedom of speech in Ramallah relative to the posters. And if you really want to know what people are thinking or talking about, that, I think that's the way to look at it. Can we go back to just one or two more Ramallah shots just to show them? Scroll down. And go ahead and scroll down a little bit. So here's a couple of Israeli, on the West Bank. These are some of the settlements. So Israelis and Zionists use posters just as rabidly and crazily as the Palestinians. I haven't had these translated yet. I have a lot of trouble getting Hebrew translators. I had a great guy. Rochelle, would you show the banner? The banner at the top of the page. I had a great Israeli guy who was a retired professor and a professor of Hebrew, and he is the son of one of the most famous Zionist poster artists and the nephew of another, and he helped me with so much. But when I added the Arabic because I'm in the Arab Studies program, So it made perfect sense for me to have this in Arabic. He left. He said, I can't be part of a website that has Arabic on it and not Hebrew. But there's really no explanation for why Hebrew would be here, except as a concession to political Zionism. So I lose my Hebrew translators after a while. Are there any questions? All right, so can we go back to that?
They give a copy of the Obama one to Obama.
I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt it. They didn't even give me a copy. So you know what? Stay there. If you could go. I just want to talk about California. Might as well do that. You know what? Click here. Click right here. Look at California. We'll close out by talking about. I'm getting signs that time is almost up. So here's Palestine, a homeland denied, and this was I think the first. No, I want you to go to the special collection. Palestine, a homeland denied. Yeah. This is an exhibit that was done in 1979, and they published a booklet, and the Iraqi Cultural Center sponsored it, and they published a lot of copies, and it was some really famous artists, but you had to be there in London to get the posters or to get the catalog, because before digitization, the only way you could enjoy an exhibit was to be in the city where it was being held. But now we can put them up online. We can translate them. We can give you the artist links. We can put and you scroll down a little bit, show them. You can see the entire exhibit online. You can download a lot of these. And then you can see some of the remixes. Keep going. So click on this. This is a scarf. This is a really famous, this is an example. These are two posters. That's one poster from the exhibit I just showed you. That's another one. And this poster is by the Hoping Institution. And it was Tilda Swinton wore this in Vogue magazine. We're going to show you that. Oops. Yeah, there you go. So Tilda Swinton wore that scarf in Vogue magazine. What was it? What was the edition? 2011. And if you could just go back to the Hoping, it was designed by a really famous, Bella Freud. It was designed by Bella Freud, and they sell for like 20 pounds, and like famous people and actresses and stuff wear that. I got 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, so go back to the Palestine Homeland Denied. And then here's another example. There's the poster. There's the original poster. And here's what other people are doing. This is, click on that. I think this is in Ireland. Where was this? In Derry. So this is from Lecky Road, Brandywell, Derry, 2006. Some artist, some activist in Ireland took that poster, made a stencil, and using red, black, green, and white, brought that poster back to life. And that's what Pierre Bourdieu talked about in terms of memory and memeing. That when we represent an idea, not represent, it's a really big, important little dash in there. But when somebody takes a poster from 1960, 1970, 1980 or something like that and reinterprets it and represents it, that's how memory is kept alive. That's how history is brought forward. And so these are empirical examples, and that's what I try to do. That's why I need the poster, I need the JPEG, I need the data to prove to people that instead of just standing and saying, oh yeah, people support Palestine, I can prove it by showing you the data, by showing you the posters. Thank you very much. I'll stick around and answer questions. Or finish my lunch. Or start my lunch.
Do you want to walk around while you answer questions, or do you want to stand here?
I'll do whatever people want me to do. I'll walk around.
So we have about 15 minutes for you to, we'll walk around with the microphone, and I think I have to turn the volume on for that microphone, so hang on just 1 second. And then 15 minutes for you to ask more questions.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask the first one.
Oops, he already had his hand up.
While we're waiting for the mic.
Okay.
How did you get started? What made you interested in this?
Oh, I should tell you this. If you're really interested in me or the thing, you can read my thesis at the site. And it's got every piece of minutia you might want. But the short answer is that when I was in Peace Corps in Morocco, I was sent to work in a school. I was supposed to speak and study French, but I was sent to this working class school in a little neighborhood in Marrakesh, and they only spoke dialectical Arabic there. So I was taught dialectical Arabic, and I had they gave me 2 tutors, one for the morning, one for the afternoon. So it was a really grinding kind of thing. I was just learning Arabic, and here I was learning something on Tuesday and studying it, making a lesson plan, and then teaching it on Wednesday, if you can imagine what that's like. So they gave me 2 tutors, and after like a month of this, maybe 2 months, I was like fried. So one of the tutors said, hey, you know, let's take tonight off. Take your dictionary, let's go for a walk, and we'll just translate some posters. And that was a really smart thing for him to do, because sometimes just one word on a poster. So if you translate one word, you can unlock the whole meaning of the post. Oh, this is this and this is that. Oh, this is great. And then a lot of the posters had to do with sports events, local theater, local politics, lots of soccer games. So by translating the posters, I learned a lot more about my immediate community in Marrakesh. And I used to, sometimes I would stand there and I'd be translating a poster, and I'd turn around and I'd be surrounded by Moroccans who all wanted me to translate the poster for them because they were illiterate. So it was a really interesting dynamic that came up in that. So that's how I got started with the posters. And then Palestine Posters, as I say when I tell people this, I was traveling to Rabat one day from Marrakesh on some Peace Corps business, I think to get shots or something. And I stopped to translate a poster. In fact, I'll try to show you the poster if it's right here. I stopped to try to translate this poster on a little side street in Rabat, just around the corner from the USAID office. Why doesn't that work? Oh, okay, Shaba. Shaba, let's try that. And I couldn't translate this poster for love or money. I couldn't translate this word. I got the top, but I couldn't translate this word right here. I couldn't translate that. Because Arabic, everybody knows, is triliteral. Da, da, sa, sha, da, but 3 three consonants, and then you construct the rest of it. But this has so many consonants. Fa, la, sa, ta, na. There's too many consonants. I was out of my league. And so I'm trying to translate this, and a man walks out of a building right next to me, and he sees me struggling with Hans Wehr over there and everything, and he comes over and he shakes my hand, says hello, and talks to me, and says, he says, that's Palestine. I said, oh, that's Palestine. Oh. And he turned out to be the PLO representative in Marrakesh. And this was because as many of you probably know, in many countries, the wall outside of an embassy has like a glass box. You put newspaper articles and photos and stuff in there, and that poster was in the glass. So he invited me inside, and we had lunch, maybe, I think, or something, and he gave me my first batch of Palestine posters, and that's how that all started. He said, he opened the door, like that. It was like those 2 doors. He opened the door, and there was shelves with all kinds of posters. He said, take anything you want. That's how it started. I was very innocent. Did you have oh, you did ask the question. Did you have a question? She has a mic for you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I must tell you, what a breather. I'm very gladly surprised by your talk. And how much for your whole PowerPoint? How much would you charge me to purchase it?
To purchase a PowerPoint? I never even heard such a question. I don't even know what that means.
No, it was a joke. Going back to the beginning and the Israeli Communist Party posters,
yeah,
saluting mainly the Soviet Union. Did you run into any of those Zionist posters about Palestine?
You know, that's a very good question. That was one of the ones. That's the one I was looking for. Let's see. This is called Zionist published Palestine posters. So about Palestine, come and see. Let's hope it's in here. Let's hope it's in here. Yes, good. Okay. So when I was in, so it was 112. This is a collection. I put this together in Palestine last year when I was a Park Fellow, because I would present to Palestinians, and Palestinians have had mixed feelings about having Zionist posters at a website for Palestine Posters, because they're concerned about normalization. They think that when you put a Zionist poster here and a Palestinian poster, you're equating them. I'm not doing anything of the kind. And so they kept saying, well, why are they in there? And I kept saying, look, the first posters published in historic Palestine that I know of, okay, came from Zionists. The Zionists introduced the political poster, the Palestine poster, to Palestine. There's the first one, 1921. Now, there's probably some Palestinian posters published before that, but I don't have them, so I can't make that leap. So, and then you go over in 1923, 24, you see, build industries in Palestine. All these references, Palestine produces aromatic tobacco. It sure does. And come and see the Palestine exhibit. So, you know, one of the things that we have to understand is that a Jewish person in Russia who, in 1880, who decided to emigrate or to become a Zionist, went from being Jewish to being Zionist. Then, to complete their Zionism, they went to Palestine. And in Palestine, they took the name Palestinian. It was a very great thing. It was a very powerful honorific for a Jewish person to be able to say, I'm a Palestinian. David Ben-Gurion used to start all his speeches in America by saying, I'm not here speaking to you as a Jew. I'm not speaking to you here speaking to you. I'm a Palestinian. Because what he wanted to do was he wanted to shame people and motivate people to come to live in Palestine. The only way to really complete your Zionism is to go make Aliyah and go live in Palestine. So for the first 40 or so years, Zionists called themselves Palestinians, and they called Palestine, Palestine. And they did so in their posters. So my point in discussing this with the Palestinians who challenged me on this was, would you prefer that these posters that show Palestine in the 1920s, 1930s, and 1940s, would you prefer that they not be there? Would you prefer that these get taken out? And of course, in this is Visit Palestine by Franz Krauss, the most popular poster among the Palestinians. So you can go through, and it's just about every issue: tourism and the Levant Fair, exhibitions, the Orange Festival, the map. This one says map of Eretz Israel, printed in Palestine. So the use of the term Palestine by Zionists, to me, legitimates our use of the term Palestine today. And I get a lot of emails from a lot of Israelis about this, but I stick to my guns, and generally they go away. This one down here was the first one I ever saw that really shocked. This shocked me. This showed me that such a genre or subgenre existed. So there's over 112. There is 112 in this exhibit right now of posters published by Zionists using the term Palestine. Come to Palestine, invest in Palestine, live in Palestine, buy Palestine products, become a Palestinian, whatever it is, ripened under the Palestinian sun. So the reference, and then June 14, 1948, there's no more Zionist published Palestine posters. The last Palestine disappears, and May 14th, yesterday's, these become, and I should show you just so that I'm being a good Hoya here, and being very empirical. I'm looking for Holy Land, Holy Land. I'll show you how quickly the transition took place. If I can find the poster. Well, I'm going to go through this. I'm going to show you how, in the same printing press, probably within the same year. Let me go to tourism. Where's my tourism? Right here. Okay, here it is. Here it is right here. So this one is, it went from Palestine, the land of the Bible, which I showed you before, to Israel, the land of the Bible. And that's all they did. They just changed some type in the printing press and cranked out cranked out a poster and made that transition. The difficulty is the rest of us haven't made that transition. So, because for the Zionists, they went from being, the guy in Russia went from being Jewish to being a Zionist to being a Palestinian to being an Israeli. So it's too many hats. So this compared with the other poster, let me just show the other one. I do have those together, but not in tourism. Well, I'll just show you this one. That show you that it said Palestine, land of the Bible. Well, here it is right here. This is in the Library of Congress, by the way, this copy. I found this in the Library of Congress. So the same publisher, the same visit Palestine, land of the Bible, visit Israel, land of the Bible. So it's basically about language. Questions? Yes?
Connection with the American Indians, because they have kind of an affinity toward the Palestinians, and they have the very same map that shows 1492 Indian lands, of the United States, and it's all Indian lands, and then what Indian lands there are now, and it looks just like the Palestinian, map of historical Palestine, and how much now is just these little dots. And so
The
I
answer
just
is
thought it
yes,
was
and why you
interesting.
keep talking, because
Okay.
I need to...
Just some people may not have seen that, the American Indian one, so yeah, you're looking for it.
I think it's this one here.
I think they did a tour or something.
Yeah,
Palestine.
I hope it's in this one. I just did put up a poster. I wish I could remember where that... It was the one. It's two posters together. It's on one side it's Palestine, the other side I think it's Chiapas. It's up. Yeah, it's up. I used to be able to control this. When there were like 700 posters, I knew I could answer all your questions. But now almost 10,000. I forget even. This is the one that was two posters together, and it was about boundaries. I just put it up like in the last couple of weeks. No, it would be like from now. You could go through, see all posters. I don't think it's Chiapas. It's, yeah. And another thing is, artists will see the site. They'll send me in a JPEG. They'll just send me a JPEG, or they'll send me a PDF. No link, no name, no date, no translation. I don't even know what language it is.
Well, you've seen this one with
Oh yeah.
it's a T-shirt oftentimes, and it's a bunch of Native Americans, and it says Homeland Security,
Yeah.
fighting terrorism,
Yeah.
Right.
1492.
Yeah.
So this one just came out in 2012.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, come up to me when I have a little more afterwards, and I'll go through that more deeply. Did you have a question?
That's actually a good poster to ask my question, because I've been interested a lot in how Palestinians understand resistance, and I wonder if you've been able to make any insights or observations from the posters, because I feel like there are posters that look like strong resistance and posters that are about the circus and about a festival in Jifna that all to me seem like an element of resistance.
Go to Hafez Omar.
So from Palestinian posters made by Palestinians for Palestinians, I wonder if you've had any insight.
Well, that's a really interesting point. You've made a couple of points. Posters by Palestinians for Palestinians. That's a very interesting point, because lots of times, how can you tell? What's one of the ways you know right away that a poster was published for Palestinians? It's all in Arabic. Okay, they don't bother with English or anything like that, or it's distributed, or it's about a very close local issue, some leader or something like that. This is Hafez. We're back to Hafez. Okay, you can see he does Rachel Corey. He took part in the exhibit. He does so many posters, I can't even keep track of them. But I want to go. This is one of the posters he does, and he also did one. He also did one in solidarity with Carlos. I'm going to show you in a minute. So does everybody know who this is? Yeah, he's in jail. He's been in jail for like 30 years. I think he's the longest held PFLP member or something. And he's held in jail in France, and so they still do solidarity stuff. So the answer to your resistance for them, a lot of the young artists, I think, I don't know how political. I don't know what I should say here. There's a lot of dissatisfaction with the PA. And so, and I actually have one here called Intra-Palestinian Discord and Intra-Zionist Discord, where Palestinians are complaining or criticizing other Palestinians or Zionists. So a lot of young artists are going. Am I over time, by the way? We have to wrap up. So I'm going to answer this question and then wrap up. So here's an example of a poster that he did. Hafez did, okay. That to me resonates or explains a little bit the younger generation's dissatisfaction with the PA, dissatisfaction with negotiation, being co-opted. Like a lot of them hate AID. I used to work for AID, and like here's one. I think it's the 5th or 6th poster I've come across so far, specifically attacking AID. So they see AID as trying to get the armed resistance, armed struggle, the confrontational kind of vibe that went through, the PLO and FATA in the 60s and 70s. There isn't that now. And I think a lot of the younger people don't want to give up at least the iconography and the language of armed struggle. So they criticize a lot of the passive cooperation, the things, normalization. They resist that, and they resist the agencies that they think are responsible for that. Thank you all very much.